Wake Up MLS. If you're tuning into this video, we've made it through 2 full months of the 2025 Major League Soccer season, which means, guys, it is time. We are going through our monthly power rankings. If you're brand new to Wake Up MLS, first off, do me a favor before we jump into this tier list. Subscribe to the channel, weekly MLS content, along with a ton of other shows and series. And as usual, I'm joined by, if you're not so new to Wake Up MLS, some favorite guests and hosts. All right. So we got Musa from MoFutbol. We got Davi from the Blue Boroughs Pod. And we got Hector from Insert Name FC, all here with me today to help me make sense of all 30 franchises in MLS, rank them in a tier list that isn't super official. The tiers themselves are actually pretty funny, I think, more than anything else. We're going to have a good time with this video. Let's go ahead and bring those tiers up on the screen. We'll give them a quick shout, and then we're going to jump right in to Atlanta United. Alphabetically, they're the first team we're going to be ranking today for the video. So jumping in, guys, the 5 different tiers from top to bottom, they are slightly different than the month 1 power rankings tiers. If you didn't catch that video, just pause this one, go back, go check that one out. I think it'll help give you some idea of where we already saw these teams previously heading into month 2 of the season. And safe to say, man, we might have some receipts to pay for from that one. But going into today's video, from top to bottom, we have Supporters Shield Contenders. We might be good, guys. Pretty self-explanatory. I just don't know. Those teams are 50-50. Too early to tell, or maybe they're just so up and down we really don't know. It could be worse. Not much to care about in that tier. And then finally, it's definitely worse. Time to hit the panic button. Let's try to figure out how this team can get back up. All right, man. Atlanta United. Let's start with our hot Atlanta expert himself. He did coin the term on this show before anybody else did. Hector, talk to me about Atlanta, bro. Where do you have them?
I just don't know. I really just don't know where to put them. I mean, they've shown a lot of moments where you're like, this team could be good, and then there's just games where you're like, I can't believe that happened. Like what happened this past weekend. I mean, granted it's a penalty, but still, like, I literally the title of this tier. I just don't know where to put this team right now.
This is accurate. This to me is very, very accurate. Like, they were supposed to be really good, and then they haven't started off so great. So you're just wondering if they're kind of trash. And but they have flashes. You know what I mean? So this to me is so 50-50. I don't know if this is like Dyla needs more time to figure it out. You know, maybe Davi knows more than we do, having been
8 games in, and I'm already hearing people want Dyla out.
That's is that crazy to you?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, New York is, but I mean, some people kind of wanted him out here, especially towards his like.
So this is kind of run of the mill, kind of what we should be expecting 8 games in.
Part of the cycle.
I mean, right? Yeah, I mean, Ronnie teams usually don't start off really well.
So be patient then. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's like around game 8, this is when it starts to really pick up. So I really thought they were gonna pick it up after the win against us, and they've kind of gone back to what they were, but after the Montreal win. But I mean, this is kind of
I thought the same thing. I thought that when they beat NYCFC, we're gonna start. Now Atlanta's here. Atlanta's here to stay, and they didn't. It was
turns out we just beat ourselves that day. So
it was very, very humid Atlanta.
Very humid Atlanta, as the other notably coined term. Yeah, bro. I think this is we had them in we might be good, guys. I think in the last video, I'm pretty sure like they were hovering somewhere in between. I think right now they're 100% 50-50. I think they should be patient with Dyla, mainly because, bro, you've invested a lot into this team. To switch managers, like just even in this first season, bro, would be, oh man, for me that would be like a panic button hit in terms of the front office. I mean, I don't know. I think it takes some time for guys like this to gel, but I can understand why fans are being impatient considering how much money was spent in the offseason.
There's still people in the New York fan base that have the Ronnie out banners, so they might ship them down to Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm sure. We'll see. But before we move on, one final question. You give me a one-word response if you want to. Is 2024 Atlanta, especially how they ended the season, are they better than this version of Atlanta?
No.
This version of Atlanta is better?
I would say so.
All right. Well, then we just got to wait.
On paper or like on like play?
Just in general, like what we've seen so far through 8 games, I think we can all provide some sort of an assessment on what we see, and we all remember what they were like.
And I'm assuming you're talking about the one that beat Miami in the
but even going into playoffs, because they kind of went on that little bit of a streak right before they went into.
So you're saying without Giakoumakis and Almada?
Yeah, without their DPs, were they a better unit as a squad? Could they compete with this current 2020?
I mean, they were just playing for jobs at that point, and they weren't even expected to make the playoffs. So I guess by that term, yeah.
Yeah,
but I think he's talking about like the mentality of that Atlanta United team versus what I don't know if there's a mentality issue. I just don't think things are clicking as quickly or that they hoped it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and I mean MLS, obviously MLS is a weird league. Who knows? Maybe at the halfway point they kind of figure things out and they make a good strong finish to be in a promising playoff position. And who knows? I don't know about winning the cup, but I mean. Make at least a decent run, and maybe a favorable matchup here and there. Who knows? Maybe they could find themselves in the final.
Yeah. Again, bro, it literally everything we're saying, like they just belong here. But I was kind of curious how everybody felt. About
Ronnie
that.
is really good at keeping the team together and rallying up the troops when he needs to. I mean, that's literally how he won the cup up here. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, 50-50, guys. Let us know in the comments down below, man, how you feel about Atlanta. We're supposed to be a powerhouse this season. We'll see if they can find a way back up to those expectations. Austin, we all saw the ass whooping. It was pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And it's crazy how confident how confident Hernan was.
I was confident that Portland was going to win.
Vancouver. I think we were all pretty confident Vancouver was going to win. I think some of us, tried to give Austin a little bit of a chance, but it really was no contest. Brian White had a field day. 4 goals bagged against. That's at the time that second best defense in the league. It's crazy how that comes back to bite people in the ass.
We all know who's the first.
We all know who's number 1, baby.
That anybody who coins that term, man, it's like you're setting your team up, like you're jinxing them right off rip. I think for me they're 50-50. Like I don't know what to make of Austin, especially losing 5-1 on the road. I think it's the first bad result of 2025. I want to see how this team responds. But, bro, I already see fans freaking out about Nico. And, bro, did I not say in the group chat, right? Again, Hernan was like, what did Nico do to you? I'm like, bro, he gave every Dallas fan PTSD over the last 3 years, bro. Watching Austin play, like, I can just see why fans are getting restless because it's so pragmatic. It lacks a ton of creativity. It's honestly not too different from Wolfball. Really not. So it's just, again, to me, those are 2 coaches cut from the same cloth, and I can feel the Austin fans starting to see that. And on top of that, Vasquez still isn't really performing. So
I mean, didn't they say they also had like 25 managers on the short list after they?
Yeah, all over the world.
Like,
they landed on Nico
Dome Tarrant was on that list. I'm like, if you guys get Dome, you guys are gonna cook. But
they probably could have. I just think they went with someone who knows the league and. Again, knows the language when it comes to a lot of the players on that team, and maybe you can sort of stomp on rivals' hearts.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Dome also didn't like being in MLS when he was with NYCFC. He just didn't like the travel and all the roster regulations and stuff. So
I think a lot of fans felt like that would have been a better hire.
I think with Austin right now, it's just a lot of weird games. Like you start the season with a 1-0 win against Sporting KC, you lose 1-0 to Portland. You lose to Colorado 1-0. You then beat Austin. You beat LAFC in LA. And then you impress everybody by beating San Diego FC, right? Because San Diego, they're looking pretty good right now. You beat St. Louis, another team that's looking really good in the Western Conference right now. You're grooving, right? And then you have this weird 0-0 draw with Portland. And now you got shit faced. That's literally what happened in this one. You got shellacked beyond all shellackings in this 5-1. Vancouver just having a chip on their shoulder and just Brian White just hanging his nuts on the table. So I don't know what else, to say. Austin is just I just don't know where I'm getting from this team just yet. They show you they can win pretty and they can show you they can win ugly. But I think we need to see them have like a standout performance where they're clearly just a better team on the field. And I don't think we've had that performance yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either. All right, Musa, Montreal. What are we thinking?
I think there's definitely worse.
Man, if I could throw the category below that and say it's been worse, that's exactly what I would put. It's like just chop them down.
I've never left.
I
spent $0 on a DP.
There you go. They're too content with being bad, and I guess it's the one that we're all saying, you're in the league, you don't have to be relegated, so they're content with that because they're in the league and clearly they don't want to spend any money.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're content, but I will say they don't want to spend money, and like they don't want to give anybody enough time to like try and get this organization back on track. Like Courtois getting a season and a month when he was given absolutely nothing to go to work with, no tools really in terms of like personnel in the field. And then on top of that, right, like you move on the DP. Like, I don't know, man. After doing what he did last season and getting to the wild card when nobody gave Montreal a shot, really, only like letting him go after a month, I just feel like they're not a serious org. Plain and simple. They're just not a serious front office, not a serious franchise. Yeah, it's hard for me to take Montreal seriously, which hurts as a Dallas fan who lost to this dog shit team last season.
I mean, not only that, they've also given him nothing and they've basically forced him to go all the games on the road. He didn't even get to make the home game.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And he started off really hot in the road last season. Couldn't translate to 2025, but yeah, they
literally beat Miami in Miami. So
yeah, bro, it just shows you how ruthless. Last year it was Miami, it was Orlando on the road and Dallas on the road. All of those teams, playoff teams the year before. So it's just like, again, man, I don't know what you have to do to buy stock with that front office, but nonetheless, they are down here. Davi, give me Charlotte.
I think they might be. Oh, I don't know. Do I put them in Shield contenders because they're playing really well right now? So
I would straight up.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, getting Zaha, like that's a great signing, and then having already building on the progress you made last year, and with the defense being as tough as it is, and I think it's a promising days coming up for the Crown down there.
Yeah, and they've had a gauntlet of a fucking schedule too to like really kind of open up 2025. I thought they performed decently well. So considering again, Charlotte's not the top dog right now. It's crazy. I kind of expected them to be by the end of the season like the top spot in the East. But bro, I think Columbus is surpassing everyone's expectations without Cucho and without Ramirez. Rossi's holding it down. We'll talk about Columbus.
And then they just went on and signed Gazdag on the team.
Bro.
So.
And they look good. Like, and I don't think anybody here really doubted Wilfred Nancy, but I think if we had any question marks of him, those have been answered so far through the first 2 months of the season. So anyway, we'll talk about Columbus, but I think Charlotte being number 2, definitely I think are going to be up there with Columbus at the end of the season for sure. I don't think anybody here disagrees, right? So let's go to Chicago. They did draw against Miami. Like I said,
they might be good.
Yeah,
it's kind of, but yeah,
I don't know.
The way I see it, especially tying against an undefeated team, what other team was able to block out Messi and not have him score a goal? It's kind of hard to tell. So they pretty much perform with a high attendance in Chicago on top of that. So I'll give him credits when credit's due. So even though Berhalter, you guys are not too fan of him, but he's doing what he's supposed to be doing at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Fair enough.
I will say, like, I'm really torn between these two for Chicago. Biggest reason why is because recent form, they haven't been that great. They drew to Montreal at home. They lost to the Red Bulls away, and then they drew Miami at home. So back-to-back home draws. They had a really good bounce in the final 2 weeks of the opening month and the first week of this last month. Was it the 3 wins in a row? But again, those teams were Dallas, who didn't make playoffs last year, Toronto, who didn't make playoffs last year, and a very heavily rotated Vancouver side on the road at BC Place, which I will give them a lot of credit for because I didn't even see that happening even in a rotated side.
All 3 on the road. They're winless at home.
Yeah. Sounds like Dallas, bro. I mean, well, we have 1 win at home, but like literally, like I lost every other game.
But I mean, then you draw with Montreal, and then you lose to Red Bull New York, you know.
No, they're the best defense, so obviously they're gonna lose.
We need to have a ticker for like how many times that shit gets brought up on an episode.
But I mean,
like
how much brownie points are you gonna give Chicago for drawing with Inter Miami? Because I mean, if you're going off of recent form, it's not great.
Yeah. So the two biggest games on their schedule so far have been Miami and Vancouver. And Vancouver was away and again heavily rotated, but still I think still like a pretty convincing win, 3-1. And then the Miami, again, they were also coming off of like several games in a row and pulled out a draw at home. I mean, like that's what I'm saying. I'm very torn between these two. And if I were to put them down here, they'd be at the top. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, both teams had chances to win that game as well.
Yeah, Bamba had a good opportunity.
Yeah, Messi had a couple free kicks that came close as well.
Yeah, because wouldn't you then put Austin to it could be worse if after their last game?
The only issue is that it's a one-off, and outside of that one game, their defense was one of the best in MLS prior to that game against Vancouver. And they've beaten some pretty decent teams along the way. San Diego, St. Louis. Still, win's a win. But like, it's just one of those things where like, and I don't like sticking up for Austin, but like, I think they're so 50-50. Like, I don't know where to call them.
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily getting worse. I think right now it's still kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
What kind of team they're gonna be. I think defensively they're very good, but I mean, aside from what happened this past weekend, but there's still. I think it's just one for me. Is I'm not worried about the defense. I'm just trying to wonder when we're gonna see Brandon Vasquez be the Brandon Vasquez from that one season in FC Cincinnati.
He's not going to be that ever again. I will call that right now with my chest. He will never be that striker ever again. We will never see a season where he has that level of production for two reasons. One, I just think it was a one-off. Like that's probably the biggest thing is I think he had a crazy season and we just haven't seen that since. Not too dissimilar from like Jesus Ferreira, for example. But two is like he just doesn't have a playmaker to feed him the way he had Lucho that year. There's no one of that caliber, and on Austin, I don't think they're going to sign anybody of that caliber. So, yeah, I just don't see it happening.
And I agree, but I mean, we got to see this attack get unlocked at some point.
Yeah. Fingers crossed they don't. But Chicago, for right now, we can move them up just depending on how we see other teams. But let's keep them here because to me, they're still like 50-50. The wins they have are against unimpressive teams for the most part, and they only have 2 games right now that you can point to and say, okay, they're actually legit. So if they had beaten Miami, I'd easily throw them right here. Easily. Like hey, they might be good, you know? Okay, we'll come back to it. Let's see. Colorado. Hector, how you feel about this one?
Colorado, I think they might be good.
Yeah.
They might be good. They're a weird team, man. They're a real weird team, but they're able to win. I've liked their performances, man. I've really enjoyed watching Colorado so far. I think this goes back to us wondering when is this team going to click. Remember, because they went all out, right? They went all out 2 years ago and completely changed this team. You know, they went and got Jordi Mihalovic, a guy that you're hoping might be in contention for MVP. Obviously, he wasn't in the top 5 MVP, whatever the hell that was.
Yeah.
They get mad. These guys in the comments get mad at us for doing a super early power rankings for every month. But how about the super early MVP race? I don't know what that was all about. But anyways,
yeah.
But I mean, for Colorado, I mean, you go in a 3-3 shootout with FC Dallas. You know, you beat Austin, you beat San Jose, which a lot of us were really high on this San Jose team going into the season. You know, yeah, you took a massive L to Portland. You beat Charlotte, a very solid defensive team, 2-0. You lose to Vancouver, but that's Vancouver. They're just a different team right now this year. And then you go into a complete shootout with San Diego FC.
Yeah. Crazy game. Yeah, to me, they're good. They're legit. Like I'm actually like proud of Dallas to an extent for going on the road. And like I know we drew 3-3, but like to pump 3 goals on them and like just stay in that game the whole way through, I think was actually impressive knowing what we know about Colorado now.
It's better than scoring 3 on the road and losing still. So
yeah, which almost happened. So I will thank my lucky stars for that. But yeah, I think that was perfectly said. Nothing else needs to be said. Colorado, they definitely might be a contender in the West for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
if this thing gets getting better.
They've pulled off some impressive results, going away to San Jose, winning, beating Charlotte and San Diego at home.
Yeah, Hector mentioned that. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Even, even in Champions Cup, they gave LAFC a run for their money.
That was actually pretty impressive too. Yeah, that's a good show.
There's some controversy behind that game, but all right.
But either way, knowing what we know about LAFC now, it's also like a little bit heavy-handed. But either way, I'll give it to them. Like I think being in multiple competitions and still performing in MLS, there's a lot of elite teams that have struggled with that, so they deserve their flowers. Columbus, this one's simple.
Yeah,
I think top of the East. Wilfred Nancy is still him. They just brought on Gazdag, who looked good in the one half that he played for his Columbus Crew debut. Yeah, man. I don't even think we need to say anything more. It's kind of crazy though how a lot of fans, including their own fan base, was writing them off after month one, and they just keep chugging along.
They got their designated penalty taker. They will never take Gazdag off penalties.
I think it's just crazy because one of the things I've been harping about Columbus is the fact that they don't have a 9, but clearly I'm wrong. What the fuck do I know? Because they
got Russell Rowe, man. He's good.
Not even just that, bro. When you got Morena scoring the way he scored this past weekend against St. Louis, bro, that goal was so damn impressive. Like it was a striker's finish.
I think at the end of the day, we cannot underestimate the brilliance that is Wilfred Nancy. People that like MLS or people that are trying to understand MLS, like Wilfred Nancy is probably the closest that we're going to get to a proper football coach. I said football. I didn't say soccer. I said a proper football coach. This man is it. Like, his ideology, terminology, the guy is as proper as it can be. And this comes from this belligerent American. So, like...
Yeah, I agree. And I think the biggest example of that is literally what I mentioned before, but it has scoring. Like, in what other system across MLS do you see center backs pushing up so high that they're getting into a box on as a second runner on those crosses? Like, you just don't see it. You really don't see it.
You're being nightmare. I tried not to remember because I think it could have been prevented. But yes, the half volley was a striker's goal.
It really was, man. It was a very impressive finish. So, yeah,
but that was a controversial win, though. They got help.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like the call at the end was like, yeah, in the second half was interesting, but either way, I still think the better team won. And it was just, again, it just shows that, like, this is not even a knock on St. Louis. I think St. Louis played as well as they probably could have, but when you see all the possession Columbus had, the chances they created, like, it was, yeah. I mean, you could tell it was a clear winner.
Football. I think that's closest to what we as European used to watch, and the fluidity it was definitely on it. So I guess let's not harp on what happened last weekend.
Fair enough. DC United. Davi, how we feel about this one, man? You're our East Coast specialist, Eastern Conference specialist.
I mean, I could put them in either or the categories. I think I'm going to put them in. It's definitely worse.
Yeah, I think so. Too.
I mean, losing 6-1 to San Jose, that's embarrassing. Losing 4-1 to Orlando.
It's so bad.
Almost scoring an own goal when your defender is facing away from goal and your goalkeeper's not even paying attention.
I mean, they're definitely above Montreal. Jose.
Yeah, I thought about that for a second. I was like, no, Montreal's probably like the lowest you can get.
I mean, at least they have a win on the season.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's just like DC lately, bro. Like, just zero backline. Just might as well not even put him out there. I don't know. If there's some academy kids out there, maybe they'll try harder. I don't know, bro. But it's
dude, you're
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Benteke got a free Benteke, put him somewhere else.
Dude, you're cooked when you have to put in Luis Barraza in that.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, no bullshit. I honestly, man, like, if we were to ever, because like there's rumors every offseason about like Musa going back to Europe and being sold again, which I would only take if we got double what we paid for him. But if we were to do that, I would splash cash on Christian Benteke, 100%. Bring that man to Dallas, give him Lucho, and just see what happens, man. But yeah, it's just, bro, this sucks. Like, honestly, he must hate Wayne Rooney. There's no way he doesn't. Like, I don't know, man. This is rough.
Like, so Landon Donovan in his podcast, I don't really like talking about Landon Donovan, but DC United had a prime opportunity to go get Bruce Arena, right?
Yeah. Well, like a lot of teams did technically, but yeah.
that's a guy that literally DC United's history, basically their history was from that man, and you.
It's just that the league was different back then. That's the only issue I have with Landon's take is that like it's a different time, bro. Yeah, he put together a ragtag team of no names and like did something with them, made him a winning team in MLS 1.0. But it was just the skill gap across the league was so different. Like I don't know if Arena could do that again. I think he needed to have like actually like a few big name players. That's just my personal belief. I think that's why he chose the Quakes. There were actually some ballers already, and he could go out and get Chicho and Joseph.
Yeah, I just think it's disappointing right now with DC United, man.
Yeah, I agree. Cincy, bro, we have nobody in this category. They're not here, by the way. I'm just saying that. Just noticed that there's literally nobody in that category.
There'll be someone at some point.
Yeah,
I think you could put them in Shield. They have the same amount of points as Charlotte. They have the exact same record, so you could put them in there.
Damn, bro, all East. The West is getting dunked on right now. That's fair. That's fair. We don't say that much about Cincinnati either. Not that we don't want to show them love, but they've been a good team in this league for at least the last few seasons.
Evander's amazing.
Yeah, and Evander is just him and Orellano are picking up form. I think Cincy's just flat out they're an elite team in MLS, and everybody should treat them as such. And here we go, Hector, the first team, and it could be worse. I'm going to say FC Dallas, bro, 100%. Especially after this last week, bro. And the biggest reason why is just depth. Like, I'll be honest, the biggest downfall of this team is that, like, the starting 11 are the only, like, good players, I believe, like, technically good on this team. The minute you lose one of them, bro, it starts to fall apart. And the fact that we let some BS one-off goal against probably one of the lesser versions of Seattle in recent memory. Let that be how we lose that team at home. Couldn't create anything. The fact that we missed Sebastian Lletget, 31-year-old Sebastian Lletget, we legitimately miss him on the field. Like, he was so missed.
That's crazy because Becky G don't miss him.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yo, he
had to get that one in. Had to get that one in.
Yo, that's bro. What the fuck? We're going after Sebastian on a personal level. Okay, anyway,
bro, he fumbled. Man.
That's
girl just vibing at Coachella.
Bro, that's wild. She was at the LAFC game not too long ago. I did see that. Yeah, bro. Anyway, I mean, yeah, Dallas is just it's one of those. Which is one of those teams right now where, like, on their day they can be really good, but they lose even one of those pieces, it could go downhill super quick. So, yeah, I could put them in. I just don't know, but I think to me it's being optimistic. I think right now we have some work to do for sure. All right, Houston, Hector, talk to me, bro.
It's definitely worse. It's definitely worse.
That's fair. Do you think you guys are? You guys are right around the same spot, like hovering close to DC United in this, just on the obviously different conference. Do you guys think you're better or worse than DC?
I feel like there's glimpses of our defense. There's moments where you see like, oh look, there's that defense I remembered. The question, but I just don't know where the attack is. I'd probably say DC has a better attack than the Dynamo does. So I think to be fair, I would probably put DC over. I don't know. What's more important? Defense
so if you guys played, it'd be 0-0.
It depends where. At DC, Houston will probably win. At home, I could see a 0-0. Like at Shell Energy. I'll be honest, bro. I actually think Houston's better. I
think they are better. They just don't score goals. That's the only thing.
But I think against this defense, you're scoring goals. Like if you don't score goals against this type of defense, like brother, like there's something serious. Bone said it needs to be like on fraud watch 1,000% if that's the case. I just think they'll give you opportunity.
I just don't think they work at this point. Like I just don't think it's. I think it's Ben Olsen. Like the reason why like we're seeing Ponce not being able to score goals. I mean, Sebastian Ferreira was supposed to be this straight out target 9 that. The Dynamo have been searching for years. Obviously ate a bucket of KFC, and now he's in Rosario, whatever that team is in Argentina, and he's scoring goals over there. So I mean, like, I think at one point, I think it's the system. It's whatever Benny Ball. I'm noticing maybe it's similar to Nico. It's more about preventing goals from happening versus creating goals. And I think that's where when you lose a guy like Ache who said, F those tactics, let's go and make a push. And I mean, I feel like more often than not, when Achacha had the ball, that's when the Dynamo were more aggressive on the attack. And we haven't had a player that does that goes against the grain, if you will, of Ben's tactics. And, I'm sure Ben gets mad about it, but then when he sees the end product, he's not complaining. Yeah. And there's just not a player like that. Even Coco Carrasquilla, when he had his moments with the ball, you saw him be aggressive and push up. And I just don't think we have that guy right now in the midfield. Jack McGlynn, he's promising. I like what I've seen from him, but he's not Coco, and he's definitely not Ache.
Yeah. I would say he offers more finesse and just like a different style of midfield play. But like, yeah, he's definitely not like as direct. Like, okay, let's just grab the ball. Let's just find a way to create some opportunities. If it's not there, bang a shot from distance. Yeah, I mean, he will, but it's almost like he kind of waits for ideal moments as opposed to just like forcing the creation. So I agree with you.
I'm definitely the Wolverine meme of holding a picture of Achache. So, yeah,
despite the way he left the league, right? Despite the way he left.
Look, the way his exit with the league is different with the way he exited Dynamo.
Fair enough.
If anything, it's very, very on par to Achache technically. So
yeah, it didn't surprise me. It was just like, damn, in a playoff game, that's crazy. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, it is. It's kind of crazy how all Texas is seemingly a little bit down bad in some form or fashion, but. Yeah, that's the lay of the land right now. Miami, better or worse than Columbus?
Worse than Columbus.
I mean,
I think second to Columbus.
This weekend.
We'll find out this weekend.
In Cleveland, of all places.
I'm banking on Columbus. Like, I know we're not giving predictions in this video, but like I'm banking on Columbus, which is why I really want to put Miami behind them. I just think Columbus is a better team, and you give Gazdag an extra week of getting integrated with the attack, and I feel like they'll create problems for that back line, 100%. So that's what I'm expecting. I don't even expect Miami to have the possession in this one.
Can we just play a clip of Luis Suarez biting Alba?
Bro, honestly, the fact that he thought that was somebody from the other team grabbing his shoulder and like he just
like that was his go-to. Was his...
El Pistolero is a savage, bro. But with that said, that is my striker, bro. That is my striker. That is my striker, 100%. One of the greatest strikers in Barcelona history, and arguably the greatest striker of our generation. All right, putting that aside.
Wow. Okay.
The French and Madrid fans are like, oh,
wow.
Benzema this, Benzema that. Suarez
I was gonna say Lewandowski.
Oh yeah. I still think Suarez is clear as like just overall ability. I actually the race is between Benzema and Suarez, but I still take Suarez over Benzema. Like it's narrow, but like I've never seen Benzema do what Suarez can do. He has more clutch factor in some ways, but I've never seen him like across Liverpool and Barca. Never seen Benzema pull off some of that shit.
Yeah, but Benzema did it for Real Madrid for 10 plus years.
I mean, yeah, but across those 10 plus years, I mean, Suarez did it again in the Prem and in La Liga, and he, La Liga wise, I mean, he's the third highest scorer in Barcelona's history.
Yeah, Benzema had to take a back seat for Ronaldo. Yeah, he took the back seat for Ronaldo, and then when his time came.
I would say better teammate than Suarez.
Better teammate, a different discussion. And if we're gonna have that talk, let's also consult with Frank Ribéry because I think he would disagree with that statement. But
they're friends now.
Shit.
I don't know about that.
They're both from Marseille. They're.
Hey, Ribéry had to be cool with Arjen Robben. I think that's impressive.
Hey, bro, I'm just saying.
That's an impressive feat of its own, right?
They're besties. There's differing opinions, you know.
Oh boy,
neither here nor there. We digress. Again, let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree.
All
right, we digress. We're not gonna have that talk. That actually brings up PTSD more than anything else. But yeah, bro, I think Miami. Talked a lot about Barcelona already, but I mean, frankly, bro, we don't need to glaze Miami anymore than they already get glazed by everybody else. Right now, where are they in the standings? Are they third,
fourth?
Yeah, might be the lowest Miami's been in a while.
But they're 3 points from the top.
Yeah, but it's still early. I think it's kind of crazy though that so since he's ahead of them, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
since he's Charlotte Columbus.
Yeah, 1000%. There you go.
In that order, yep.
That's
undefeated. You know what you just did, right?
Undefeated.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think the team coming up should have had that win week 1.
Also, to be fair, though, that Inter Miami team does have a game in hand because they were the only team to not play in international break.
And New England.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Don't care. Don't care. But
this is where the Messi hate comes back to get.
Yep. The chat is gonna be hot.
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. And look, I'll just
those 11 minutes were bullshit.
Anybody
we got the two Messi haters over here.
Anybody who doesn't agree, go check the standings. That's all I'm gonna say. Scoreboard. All right.
Those 11 minutes were bullshit.
Speaking of NYCFC, bro,
11 points.
This one's tough.
I don't know just yet because
I don't know either.
They still lack the playmaker that we need. I mean, from what I've heard,
I feel like I'm more confident about Chicago right now than. No offense.
Ooh.
I mean, here's the thing though. I mean,
it's not a terrible show.
Maybe,
it's not a terrible show.
Maybe. But
look, we've been glazing the Eastern Conference a little too hard right now. I need to
drop someone down a peg here. Okay,
drop someone down a peg.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
even though another Eastern Conference team.
Like if you pick apart, and actually I'll agree with this. In fact, I will even go as far as saying that like you could arguably, like to me, Atlanta and NYCFC are actually very close to each other. Very close. Like I really don't know how either of these teams are going to pan out moving forward. Like I really don't know. NYCFC, is it just you're still figuring out Janssen's system, or like when is this going to click?
I think it's just the lack of the 10. No, we really don't have that Santi Rodriguez player anymore on the pitch, and we are a bit thin in midfield. We kind of got banged up a little bit, but with right back and in the midfield as well. We lack depth more so in midfield and also the wingers as well. With Malachi Jones, I don't think he's going to come back this season, unfortunately. He had a promising start to last year, and it all ended quite abruptly. But I think I trust Pascal in getting to where this team where he wants to be, and he said as to why transfers. He's going to take all the time he needs to get the right players. He wants to get the right players in for NYCFC. So it doesn't have to be this window. He might even wait until July to get the right players that he wants. And, we might actually sign somebody in the window still with Aidan O'Neill from Standard Liège. $2 million is the proposed offer, is what I brought up off camera before the recording. So he's another midfielder to give us depth in that area. And, I think there's glimpses and there's like flashes of this team. This team can be good. They just need to finish.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if he's going to take some time, he does have a little bit, I would say. Probably the next month to month and a half is decently favorable in terms of matches. NYCFC have the Revs, Toronto. You got Cincy in the mix there. That's going to be a difficult one, but it's at home. Montreal, DC, and then you have the Hudson River Derby.
Yeah, the revenge game at Citi Field against Red Bull.
And that one, I don't know if you necessarily need a huge impact player, because I think you should be getting up for that type of rivalry game no matter what. And then from there, Chicago and Houston heading into the window. So,
but I think also the Atlanta game is a really big reason why we're putting them in this tier. Because I think if you beat Atlanta, you go, because Hannes Wolf said it. I mean, when you score 3 goals on the road, you usually win. So I think if we beat Atlanta, we'd probably be in the tier above it. But
that's a good point. That's a good point, though. So because you guys lost to Atlanta, do you drop NYCFC one more?
No, I think we've looked better than Atlanta, in my opinion, because I think Atlanta, they've had too many pieces that they're trying to fit in all at once. And NYCFC, they've had the core for about a year to 2 years longer than Atlanta have. So in reality, it's just a couple pieces are missing, and then we could be challenging for top 4, top 3. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
Top 3 is interesting when you look at who's actually up there.
I don't think the game
against Cincy, the game against Cincy coming up in a few weeks can be very telling of that. Like, I think if you guys can do right what you did against Miami, what you did against I guess even Atlanta, and just stay super competitive and beat Philly, right? You stay super competitive in those games, and I definitely I definitely see where you're going. Like I smell what you're stepping in. You know
Here's
what I
the
mean?
thing: we haven't really been completely dominated. I'd say in either of these games, we've kept it relatively close on the scoreboard, and honestly, I think if a couple balls bounce our way, we probably have maybe one loss, maybe undefeated throughout the season.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just me because I kind of just talk a lot at NYCFC, talk a lot to people in the inner circle of the club. So, I mean, I think the fan base is kind of like we're kind of like on the up and up. I think especially with the win against Philadelphia, with them not having Andre Blake, them selling their best player, kind of things not going as hot as they were at the start for Philly.
Yeah.
I think it's to get the win against Philly. That was a big one. We needed that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It was a huge win. So I'll give benefit of the doubt. I think this is a good spot for them. And we can always move things around. We'll see. LAFC, Musa, how you feel about this one, man?
For me, I just don't know about the LAFC because you see like the hot and cold from them.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's still Giroud. They still cannot figure out what to do with him on the bench or off on. I'm not sure, but I just saw just a glimpse of it when they played the CC against Miami. But then after that, it's like it's not the LAFC that have tortured my team for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm even going in, I'm almost even a little bit confident that if they play us, it would not be as so much of a rout at this moment. So
honestly,
maybe as me, I just don't know, but it could be a toss up to it could be worse because
I think
it's not looking good at all.
See, the reason I don't want to put them here is because, well, one, even looking at statistically speaking, right? LAFC, a lot of people don't realize this. LAFC and FC Dallas have the exact same goal differential: 10 goals scored, 11 goals conceded. And I think as much as the attack is a problem for LAFC, they can no longer, this used to be their bread and butter, right? Like a back line that was very strong. You think even back, of course, to having someone like Giorgio Chiellini in that back line a couple seasons ago. But nonetheless, like very defensively sound under Tarundolo, and that's just no longer the case. Like teams are scoring. And bro, when you let a team like Austin, who struggles with that, come into your own house just a couple of weeks ago and get that win, that 1-0 win on your field, I don't know, man. Like to me, Austin's such a question mark, and they took down LAFC at home. So like we could put them here, but I think there's just a little bit of a gap. And I kind of feel like they're closer to Dallas right now than they are to Austin.
And the only reason, the reason why I'm putting them at where I feel like they're at, I just don't know, is they came off beating San Jose 2-1 when they came off of a shellacking on DC United. And I think that it's once again, this team is just weird. Like they're hot or they're cold. They're yes or they're no.
Houston, Houston beat them at home. How many games have you won at home, Hector?
I haven't won a game at home.
No, it's just that one.
Yeah, just that one.
It's literally just that one against LAFC. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how strong this team is. Yeah, it's just what I'm saying, right? If Houston's this bad, like an LAFC being that good on paper, having that many key players, that much talent above the likes of Houston, and Houston still pulled off the dub when they couldn't beat anybody else at home. I don't know, man. I think we see the brand and we're like, oh, LAFC, good team. And we're giving them maybe benefit of the doubt, but I feel like they're actually closer to Dallas's level right now.
Yeah, they don't have that much fear putting on other teams at this moment.
Yeah, I'm not scared of LAFC. Okay, look, let's leave it here and see what happens. I do think that this becomes really interesting, guys. In the comments down below, let us know how you feel. This one's very, very divisive. Like I think you could put them in either territory, either tier, but kind of for the content, I kind of want to just put it here and see what happens.
Oh boy!
And I do also think that both LA teams are also closer to the bottom half of these rankings than they are to the top. Like that's just kind of how I see them. Speaking of which,
it's definitely worse.
I think you got to put them at the bottom.
Yeah, do you have
you got to put them under Houston? They couldn't beat Houston.
Yeah, they couldn't beat Houston.
They have no wins on the season.
Yeah, no wins, but I refuse to put them beneath. Well, not Montreal. If these two teams play, I'm convinced the Galaxy are winning a game. Like 1,000%. DC United, maybe they can guard Benteke, maybe they can't. That one's a little more up in the air. And right now, I'll just base it off of the record. But Galaxy are pretty damn bad right now. It's
it's getting to the point where you might not be able to save the season.
Yeah, I don't know. Like we're already treading on the territory of this being worse than the 2023 season, which was bad. They finished 13th that year.
But I'm saying, like, right now, they're digging themselves into such a deep hole right now where, them hoping that, once this team's fully healthy, we can make a run. This is like when Messi came into Miami, where Miami was just god awful. Like
they had like 18 points or something like that.
It's gonna be something miraculous if you can get them in just a wild card spot, let alone be in the playoffs. And right now, I just don't see a win coming anytime soon. I mean, I don't know who LA Galaxy has next, but I think it's Austin actually.
Yeah, Austin away.
Yeah, do I see them beating Austin right now? I just don't.
Bro, imagine that Austin ends up being their first win. Oh man, that would hit.
Oh, we wouldn't hear the end of it from you.
yeah, it would hit so hard. Oh,
I mean,
man.
But just look at these next coming games. You got Austin FC. It'd be hilarious. I'd be laughing all day. But then you got Portland. Portland's kind of weird. Sporting Kansas City. This might be where you put that money on there right then and there.
And then you got best defense.
I don't know actually.
And even then, you don't know Jovic revenge game.
Yeah,
you
never know.
And then after that, you got the best
another
defense.
Revenge game with the best defense of all time this season.
Bro, of all time, this is a crazy shout. That's a crazy
best defense all year, right? Only gave up one goal all season.
Oh man, that's wild. Okay, yeah, I feel good about that. Yeah, we don't know when their first win's coming,
and then Philadelphia, and then you got El Tráfico. It's
El Tráfico, and then back to back with.
We might be looking at 2023. Might be looking at 2023 Sporting KC territory. Legitimately,
this is going bad. This is not looking great for LA Galaxy. I just want to say one thing: the league definitely utterly screwed over this team. With this is one of those times where the rules that MLS has for a team that won the MLS Cup and to be rewarded by, hey, we need you guys to cut a lot of fat out because you guys need to meet your salary cap ruling.
Or it's just parity. Like, hey, we need you guys to not be so dominant because the league needs to be entertaining and we need to give other teams a chance. I hate that too. That's why the rules are in place from my perspective.
This is why I keep saying get rid of the fucking salary cap.
Yeah, but that's why it's in place, right? Like it's the same reason. They're just embracing the franchise model from other American sports. It's the same reason why other sports have a draft, right? It's always to even things out, to even the playing field.
Yeah, but in the other leagues, you still see the Kansas City Chiefs right now in consecutive Super Bowls. There was a time where it was the NBA Finals was Cleveland Cavaliers versus Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Like, there's still teams that have dominated the league, like aside with the salary cap. And what MLS did to LA Galaxy was they literally had them be minuscule. You lose Jovic because the player for cash trade, but you lose a lot of good pieces in that team. It's because you had to meet your salary cap objectives. Mm-hmm. I get where you're coming from. Parity is great and it's important, but this wasn't for the sake of parity. This was literally for the sake of Galaxy. You're not coming back to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. First of all, I'm not arguing for parity. I'm just saying conceptually that's why those rules exist. It is to level the playing field to make the product more competitive. And the only team that is probably immune to that is Miami. Like, and that's the reason why, like, the LA Galaxy story, right? The dismantling of that team is honestly a spit in the face to all Galaxy fans from the league directly, is because they're letting Miami build this super team while they're forcing someone like LA Galaxy to adhere to those rules. And they're letting Miami find like loophole like ways to sort of dance around them as much as they can.
Dude, their whole team are DPs, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, a good amount of them for sure. And so, like when you look at it, man, it's just it's for that reason alone. Like if they held everybody to that ridiculous standard, then it's like whatever, you can't be mad. But the fact that Miami gets to do pretty much whatever the hell they want to, and so many Miami Glazers don't realize that.
They might bring in one of Di Maria or De Bruyne this season. So
yeah, and it's just again, it sucks for the Galaxy fans. I feel for you, bro, but like, yeah, it just sucks. Like your team is just bad right now, and it is very much sort of the doing, I guess you could say.
Well, enjoy Miguel Berry for the year.
All right, we'll move past
Barry.
So Minnesota United. We'll get Hector back in a second. Minnesota United. I'm very torn.
I think you could put them up there in Shield.
So here's the thing. I want to, and if they are up here, it is at the back half of it for sure, the very tail end of this thing, because they just haven't beaten anybody impressive yet. Like, in my opinion, right? Like, their wins have come against NYCFC on the road recently. Sure, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there, but I think NYCFC is still figuring it out, like we've talked about. They beat Salt Lake at home. They beat San Jose on the road when San Jose was going through that down run of form. Montreal at home, and that's basically it. They lost to LAFC in the opening weekend, and they have like draws and losses outside of that. So it's just like not a super great strength of schedule or strength of wins in the schedule, if that's even a thing. But like their wins have not come across anybody that impressive, but nonetheless, win's a win. I don't want to undercut the Minnesota United fans, the loons here, but it's like if they played Colorado, have they played Colorado? No. That would be interesting, though. I think they will play 100%.
I feel like they might be good.
They drew KC 3-3. They drew the Galaxy 2-2. They drew Toronto 0-0.
Sounds like they probably might be good, especially with the standard that we've put in for the first of those four at the top.
I actually think that they're at that level. I'll be honest.
I don't think they're going to stay up top in the Western Conference. I think there's going to be a dip off.
Yeah. But again, even on based on current form, if you're going to look at that way, like their wins just really aren't the most impressive. It's just that, again, you have to keep collecting points, and they're doing that.
It's how John said it. This is a weird team.
Yeah,
Minnesota's a weird team. Like they give you weird results, and you're just not sure where they're gonna lie. I think right now you have to give them credit where they are in the standings, but I think by the time the season's over, they're not finishing. I don't think in the top half of the Western Conference. And I mean amongst playoff teams.
Yeah, I agree. And look, their next game is against Dallas, so at home. So if Dallas is competitive in that game, if they find a way to even get any points, right, steal a point on the road, whatever the case may be, it may reinforce a lot of what we're talking about right now in terms of hesitations when you compare them to the Elite Four up here. So, Loon fans, let us know down in the comments below. Nashville, aka Cashville, how we feeling?
I just don't know.
Yeah, it's tough, bro. Are they ahead of Chicago or no?
They are.
Yeah. Would you say they are? Because looking at the last few games, they've lost to Charlotte and won against Real Salt Lake, but
Charlotte's a good
lost
team,
to Cincinnati.
Though.
Yeah, their L's have come against like good teams. You know what I mean? Like,
and then they had that massive upset against Philadelphia, which maybe hindsight, I don't know about that.
That's where the downfall started, boys.
For Philly fans, yeah, maybe. I think Cashville, for me, they are a good team. Like they're actually, I think they're doing a lot of good things, and their losses have come to teams that are for sure better than them. But those teams are all good teams. I think by the end of the season, they will be in that top 5, top 6 contention in the East. But they're just not there yet. And so for right now, it's kind of like, yeah, they're a little bit 50-50. I don't know, man. Part of me does want to put them on the back end up here. Like I kind of want to do that, but maybe that I'm just being too optimistic.
I think we might be good. You have to at least beat one of the top teams. Like you have to have beaten a Cincinnati or you have to be one of those upper echelon teams. Okay.
They haven't done that yet. They beat Philly, right? But that's pretty much like the best team, the best opponent they've beaten so far on the road, which I think is still pretty impressive. So, all right, I'm down with that. We keep them right here. And I had a feeling, bro, this is probably going to be just how early we are in the season, maybe our longest category or longest tier. The Revs.
It could be worse.
I actually think, yeah, they moved up a little bit.
They have a couple wins to their name, so
yeah, they honestly they've improved over the last month at least a little bit, right? Maybe they're gelling a little bit more.
They have no assists though.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, bro, they were last year sort of one of the bottom barrel teams. Even to the opening month to kick off this season, they weren't great whatsoever. We had them pretty close to the bottom. I think getting a couple wins under their belt, who knows? Maybe a springboard for the rest of the season. But
I'm not gonna lie, with NYCFC going up to Gillette next week, that could possibly be a trap game.
Ooh,
I think that could be a trap game.
I don't know about it being a trap game just because of New England seems to have gone on, especially coming off of that Atlanta United win. Granted, yes, it was a penalty, but they won 2 of their last 4. So, I think that.
Well, the way I see it is that they're not that good of a team. They're kind of one of the bottom feeders in the East. That's the way I see it. But I mean, any team, if you're competitive for the playoffs, you're competing for playoffs, and you look at New England away, you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, that should be an easy 3 points." But I mean, it's not because because they could pull off an upset. I mean, they beat Red Bull, the best defense, and then they went down to Mid-Atlanta and got the win there. So
I think to pinpoint something specific, by the way, in terms of why they can be a trap game, is they're subtly a decent defensive team. Like I think they're, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're tied for second best defense.
7 goals conceded.
Yeah, they just don't score a lot. Like they're not in games because of their attacking prowess. They're in games because it's proven to be not as easy as a lot of us thought to score on this team led by Caleb Porter. So, but they leave so much to be desired on the offensive front that if you can get that first goal, it's really potentially can open things up and you can kind of break that game wide open.
I mean, they haven't been blown out this season. I mean, the biggest margin of defeat was 2 goals.
I just think if you're gonna use the word trap game, I think you're referring to a team that's just completely down. Like I don't think New England is as bad. In fact, this might be above expectations right now. If you were going off of what happened last year for them, and was it 2 wins, 2 wins regardless. Like that's and good wins too. By the way, one like Jose mentioned, not giving up a lot of goals and doing enough just to get one back in the net, regardless if it's a pen or not. Like they're holding up a strong team. So I don't think this is. I think if you're Pascal, you're not taking this team lightly. You're studying how this defense works.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a whole different story if this New England team didn't have a single win going into this game.
I mean, that's
for sure, maybe, but I would say what makes them a trap game is the mentality of NYCFC going into this game, which is not too different, I think, from the fans' mentality going into this game. Let us know in the comments down below. I think if you're an NYCFC fan, do you expect to beat New England?
We already beat them once this season, so you would expect them to.
I think most fans and most players look at New England on the schedule and probably figure it's 3 points. Like I just think that's the mentality going in because they're historically in recent history not a good team, and so even if they've won a couple in the last month or so, I'm still not that worried about this team. Just mentally, I'm like, we should win this game, bro. We should. I feel like if you're a team who wants to compete in this league, you probably think that going into this game. You think the same thing if you were going into the DC United game, and that could also be a trap game in its own right.
The guys like Benteke. Also, Toronto for us on the schedule.
Yeah,
it's both games on the road. They could both be trap games.
Yeah, Toronto, another team too, right? They kind of were a little bit of a trap game. I think for Miami, they could have won that game. They had moments.
Yeah, they were up. They were up on that game too.
Yeah, they could have won that game. So it's just those instances, right, where it's like, it's almost the brand of like quality that some of these clubs or these franchises have, where you're like, bro, we should win that fucking game. We should not be losing these bottom feeders. And that's when it happens, you're like, wrong mentality, bro. Wrong mentality. But yeah, I totally see what you're saying, man. I think that they should be respected a little bit more because they have been somewhat performing as of recently anyway. We'll leave them there. I think that's fine. They've progressed. Red Bulls. I think they're still kind of somewhere up here, to be honest.
I think you should put them down.
I don't know about that.
Why do you not know about that?
I think just overall they're. I mean, yes, 3 wins, 3 draws. I mean, you can make that valid argument. But I'm not as. I mean, the only thing I'm impressed by them is their defense. But aside from that, there's a lot of there's games where I feel okay, FC Cincinnati, that win, I feel that was a good win for them. Well, good, but that was a good loss for them, right? They beat Nashville. You should be beating Nashville, right? At least where they came from last year. 0-0 to Atlanta United. Atlanta United still trying to figure things out for themselves. There was a time for you to try to make some. I just don't see any risk from this team. That's the only thing that I feel they play too safe too much, and that kind of pisses me off sometimes.
I don't think it's safe. I think it's just who they are. I think of Red Bulls like Atletico Madrid from La Liga. I think this is just the football they choose to play. It's going to be
ugly.
It's going to be, ugly as shit. And I think that's okay. Like, they're just going to sit in. They're going to wait for the counter. They're going to be very stout as much as they can defensively. They're going to be physical, right? Jersey boys are going to push you around. They're going to make this as ugly of a win as they possibly can make it. But, I don't think they necessarily want to take a ton of risk because they know their defensive line is their anchor. It is where the quality in their team really is, outside of one-off playmakers like Emil Forsberg. So, I don't know if it's oh, hey, I need to see more from this team. I kind of know who they are. It's just, can they pull off wins when it matters? And I do think the Nashville win is...
If you're asking that question, there's no way you can put them on we might be good.
I think it's a define good. I think, right now, would I be worried about playing the Red Bulls? Yes. Why? Because they're a good team. Because when push comes to shove, they showed it last year, bro. They entered the playoffs as a 7th seed. It's not like they were on this crazy streak going into the playoffs, but when it mattered, they turned it on and they got every result they possibly needed to, and they're still playing the exact same way going into this season. So, I haven't seen anything different. To me, this is the Red Bulls, and when it matters most, they'll find a way to be even more pragmatic and probably scrape by results. But again, wins are all that matters. I get if you guys want to factor in style points, that's cool.
I wouldn't. If they're playing their style of football and winning games, then that means that they are good because they're playing the way they want to play.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean if they have to be flashy or not.
Yeah, Musa, I totally agree, bro. That's exactly what I see. It's just one of those things where people get upset with Atletico Madrid or Getafe or whoever, right? It doesn't matter who it is that sits in, but that's just part of the game. There are different ways to set up, So, but if they're good at what they do, I think we have to consider them a good team. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. But if you guys want to move them down, we can. But I probably wouldn't move them down any further than this.
I'm good with it.
I'm fine with it. I just don't know. I just can't put them at we might be good.
All right, bro. I think Hector's got a vendetta against the Red Bulls this season. We'll see. We'll have to get Bob back on the show. I'm down for a little back and forth.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna put Chicago in, I don't know, and they have the same goal differential.
It's because to me, it's not about stats. It's not about stats. It's about what you see when you watch these teams play. Chicago, to me, I just don't know because they're up and they're down. And when I say they're up and they're down, the Dallas game against Chicago was the perfect example. It's bro, they were trash for the first 70 to 75 minutes. They were down 1-0, and then out of nowhere, they turned things on. And some of that was our own doing with the subs that we made, but they turned things on and then they showed their quality. But it's why can't they do that for the full 90? Why can't they do it on a more consistent basis? The Red Bulls know who they are, right? They choose to play that way. And I would say, again, they're a hard team to play against. You might get the result against them, sure, but they're a difficult team to play against. And so that's why I'm saying they're not on the same tier for me. Chicago, I'm every one of these teams in this tier, I'm still trying to figure out what they are. I know who the Red Bulls are.
The same one for decades. Huh?
Yeah, I know who the Red Bulls are. I know what they're going to give me. They're good at what they do. It's just not sexy soccer. It's just not flashy.
That's why, to me, no win against Red Bull is ugly. Every win against Red Bull is beautiful.
yeah, fair enough, bro. It's just it is, and we know there are plenty of teams who play prettier football that lose to teams like this, and it's just the way they choose to play. But it's just
I'm for a team that's ugly. My team Chelsea was ugly at one time with Mourinho, and guess what? They won a lot of trophies, and then people forget how ugly it was.
But that was actually the best defense, though.
Yeah, yes, but also
they were one of the best.
But they also had identity, right?
Yeah.
And they quoted the parking the bus. It's a Mourinho thing, right? But they still won. So knowing that Chelsea was parking the bus, and now we know Red Bull is, you can have the ball as much, but we'll counter you and still win the game. It is a Red Bull, so they are a good team based on what they're playing and their profile is.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the only way
do.
I see it. Yeah. Versus Chicago is that, Berhalter just came in and he's still making, winning games, but we don't know that once they get slapped in the face, how they will be able to come back or play the same way. But we know what to expect from the Red Bulls.
Yeah, bro. If you look at this too, like what Musa said, new coach. Coach has been there for less than a year.
Half a season, yeah.
It's technically new.
Yeah. So like you again, like it's just we're just trying to figure out what all these guys are, and then we have the Red Bulls, who I don't think we're gonna learn anything new from.
But here's the thing: no matter what coach they're under, they're always going to play Red Bull.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, I personally felt like years ago, right? The
BWPs,
the Henrys, they were playing a little bit different in those years because of the quality that they had on the field, but still somewhat pragmatic. It was like, if you get a ball, find Henry on a long ball with his pace and see if he can link up with BWP. So, yeah, but again, I digress. If you guys are insistent, I will leave them here. I just think they're in a different spot entirely with where they are in their cycle as opposed to these teams. So, just personal opinion. Davi, so we know where Hector lies, or me and Musa lies. Where would you put these guys?
I would put them in. I don't know.
Okay. All right, we'll leave them top here. I think having half the crew split, guys, this is a great topic of conversation. Let us know how you feel, man. If you watch the Red Bulls play, you see them play enough. I think we know enough about this team to know that they are a difficult team to play against. But let us know.
If you want to put them in good, I think they would have to consistently get more wins.
Yeah, fair. But I still think they don't drop out of top 8. I think they're going to be a playoff team no matter what. And I think that it doesn't matter what seed they go into the playoffs in. They are going to find a way to get wins. And it's just
a difficult
team to play against. I'm pretty sure. And again,
of course, Davi, you're not.
They dunked on your team when it mattered most. They didn't do it in the regular season, right? But when it came to playoffs,
did they win the final?
They didn't win the final.
Exactly.
Again, fair enough, right? But I'm saying, who gets to the final, Davi? Do good teams get to the final, or do bad teams get to the final, or teams that you just don't know about?
In MLS, the teams you don't know about.
I don't know, man. I think personally, good teams get to the final, and to me, the Red Bulls are a good team. They have not dropped off significantly from last year.
You show me a good loser, I still show you a loser.
That doesn't matter. But but the best of the losers is a good team. Period. Like,
you made it to the final.
Nobody can debate that with me, bro. Like there isn't a single argument.
Runner up is first loser.
Yeah, fine. But that's not the debate. The debate is, are they a good team?
Yes. And that quote only works for those that are in the bleachers watching.
Yes.
That's why I tell people.
Let them have it.
Look, man, at the end of the day, nobody cares unless you got the last win of the year.
That might be true historically, but we're literally right here, right now, sitting and having a conversation about this. So I would say that we care, and I'm willing to bet that people who are watching the video also care. So it's too recent for anybody to not give a shit. Like, it's just where we are right now. So as we sit here and talk about the Red Bulls, I am confident they're a good team. But again, there's too much I've seen of this team already to feel otherwise. So, but hey, again, maybe I'm the minority. The comments will hold me accountable, as they always do. Orlando City, how do we feel about this one?
I think same.
I want to hear.
I mean, if they're there, if Red Bulls are here, then they got to be somewhere in here. Like, there's no way we can put them above.
Because there's games where they could score 4 goals, and there's games where they just don't flat out perform.
Did they beat Nashville?
I don't even think they played yet.
Yeah, I don't know. No, they
haven't played yet. No.
Nashville.
Okay. This to me will be a very interesting game.
The last 2 games were 0-0 against Philly and Red Bull.
Yeah. And again, to me, Red Bull's a good team. So, like I said, they're somewhere near the top of this category. But I think we are still figuring out a little bit about who Orlando wants to be this season, just considering a lot of the pieces they missed out or that haven't replenished yet. A key injury right before the season too, right? So, and Galese, man, he is getting better. I think by next month, bro, they're gonna be here, 100%. I think MLS is like they're just less leaky with their back line. They're figuring it out. I like Orlando. I think that they'll find a way to kind of be relevant. But we're in month 2, so I'm down to keep them here if you guys want to. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Philadelphia. Dude, before the NYCFC result, I was very, very confident. I still kind of am, to be honest, but maybe just on the back end of this. Or do we not see things the same way?
I think they're a good team. Maybe the last two games may have not been what they expected, but they're still on the hot streak. I mean, it shows a little confidence when you're able to.
They've cooled off.
They've cooled off, but I will say too, like in that run where they've cooled off, they've lost to Nashville, which we've established has already starting to look like a pretty decent team. They beat St. Louis, who's we established as especially the last rankings, pretty good team. They lost to Miami, right? They drew Orlando and they lost to NYCFC at the baseball stadium.
That's their first loss to NYCFC away since 2019, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and again, they just lost Gazdag, so like maybe they'll slowly trickle down here over time. But I still think right now, like it's difficult to play against the Union, and I hate that as a Philly hater. Like there's nothing about me that wants to keep them out
there's
here,
probably a reason why they were comfortable enough to let Gazdag go. Like you don't give up a player like that unless you felt pretty confident that either something you're working on something or there's a guy. I mean, everybody knows Philadelphia Union has that academy, and so. Or we haven't seen Kevin Sullivan yet, but I mean we've seen glimpses, but not like starts for him, but yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like I think Philadelphia's doing this like crazy Chinese checkers, trying to make me figure out if they're sneaking something up, or like they got something hidden on their sleeves. But because I mean, this is a team that also doesn't make any big transactions either, so. I'm very curious as to, you have to be pretty they know something. They're doing something that if you're confident enough to give up Gazdag, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. Like to give up a player like that and be like, we'll be fine.
It could also be the money, right? It could be like, hey, $4 million, like we could use that right now for whatever reason. So I know a lot of MLS franchises think that way. So, and they could also feel like, hey, that's a good time because we're technically still in a rebuild mode. So maybe we're playing with house money a little bit. Because again, a new manager always signals that, right? You're not going to see a ton of success right from the get-go. Only a handful of managers do that. So, yeah, I mean, I still think it's going to be a tough team for anybody to play against. Like, I really do. Like, we might be good. Like, legitimately, that's exactly what that symbolizes. Like, they might be a good team. I believe that. Anybody disagree? No? All right. Portland might be good, low key. We shit on Portland, but
no, they might be good.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. I think they were right somewhere down here in this territory in the last video. They moved all the way up. Great month.
They beat Colorado, so right.
Well, I mean, you get selected by Vancouver, you lose to Nashville, and then you get a draw against LA Galaxy. Your only win is a win against Austin, which is depending on how you feel.
Didn't they beat Colorado?
Yeah. That was after the last video.
He was saying month one. Month one, it was bad. Yeah.
But then after that, you beat Colorado 3-0.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking about Colorado being a good team.
Yeah.
And the altitude as well.
We'll ignore the next game.
Which is Austin.
a nil against Austin, which I mean, pretty decent. We still not sure about Austin, but I think was it in Austin when they
it was in Austin.
Yeah, it was the Q2.
So it was on the road, and then you come in and respond with a 4-2 win against Sporting Kansas City, which you should beat the crap out of Sporting Kansas City. In hindsight, obviously I'm not trying to diss Sporting Kansas City unless your Musa is okay with it. But
I think Portland is better since Burmese got fired.
Has gotten better.
For sure.
But I'm just saying, like when you look at the teams you're supposed to beat, Kansas City is at least in that conversation.
KC is also in the trap game conversation right now, I would say. 100%. I think that they're going to pose some interesting problems.
Oh yeah, the team you're supposed to beat is also the trap. Is always going to be the trap team.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so yeah, I think this to me is like somewhat controversial. I do think the 3-0 speaks volumes, but I think there's also like something to be said about one-off results. I want to see Portland do it more consistently. Right? They're on a good run of form right now. They have the 2 LA teams coming up. The Quakes, Sporting KC, Salt Lake, Seattle. It's actually a pretty favorable schedule, just considering the form of some of these teams going into the summer. But then again, you get from there, Orlando, Colorado, Vancouver, St. Louis. Like that's going to be a gauntlet of a schedule when the time comes. So this is the time for Portland to slowly convince me and any other fan who's not sure about them that they are actually a good team and they're just not in a purple patch run of form. That's what I'm trying to really kind of get out of this. So we'll see, man. I know we got a serial Portland listener or viewer. So, yeah, man, let us know how you feel about this.
I just don't like Phil Neville.
I don't either, bro. I don't rate him at all. But I'm not going to hate on the results. Results are results. They have bounced back significantly.
Game is game.
Yeah, game is game, bro. Salt Lake. This is the epitome of I just don't know.
It could be worse.
You think it could be worse?
It could be worse.
Is that just because they have 5 losses?
They were really bad to start the season.
Yeah.
Like they lost to Dallas in that run too, but like they were pretty bad to start the season. They picked it up a little bit since then.
Let's see. Well, I mean,
they
lost to Nashville. You beat LA Galaxy. The way they're looking right now, you kind of do need to beat LA Galaxy. You lose to Minnesota. You lost to FC Dallas.
It could be worse. I think he's.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this.
I like Mastroeni's style. I think that's probably what I'm giving them a little bit of credit. I feel like it's. I like watching them play. Like they really do have dog mentality. We talked about it a lot last season. They have that through and through. They just don't have
don't have the striker like Chicho,
or just like even the technical ballers outside of Luna. You know what I mean? Like
it's literally Luna. However Luna's playing that day, that's what you're gonna get from this team. Like he's the talisman. Like he's what the team feeds off of. And if he's not having a good day, unfortunately, that's gonna be
wraps.
Yeah. So
yeah. I think right now because of just some of the L's they've taken, we'll keep them here. And it's probably right around the same spot we had in the last video. You guys can fact check me if you go back to that last one, the month 1 power rankings. All right, San Diego FC. Are they contenders?
They might be good. I think top of we might be good.
Yeah.
So why not contenders?
They've had a couple.
I think it's that. Oh, go ahead, Davi.
Yeah, I was saying they had a couple of one-offs that they lost. You know, they lost to Austin, they lost to Colorado. Granted, those are decent teams, but I mean, I think those two kind of stand out. Those results kind of stand out, and I think it's a bit too early to call. I still think they need to kind of play more games and prove that they could do it against big teams. I mean, Charlotte on the weekend is literally the perfect opportunity for them to prove why they should be in the Shield contender race.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that for me, but because I mean, you beat that at the time the last year's MLS Cup champion LA Galaxy, you go toe to toe with St. Louis, you beat Real Salt Lake, a team that we view as dogs. You drew 1-1 with Wilfred Nancy. Yeah, you lost to Austin FC, but that happens. You beat LAFC. You beat the Seattle Sounders. And you do lose to the Colorado Rapids, but obviously we're seeing them as a good team. But I think the only reason why I'm hesitant on throwing them out on Supporters Shield, it kind of I'm sorry, Musa, but it is involving your St. Louis team. I just have the fear of me overly hyping this team up, and it implodes, in that first round. That's just me being scared of that. I don't want to sip the Kool-Aid a little too hard, even though this team has shown you have every right to be sipping on that Kool-Aid.
Fair enough. I agree. I was just kind of curious if anybody had thoughts. I mean, the biggest reason for me is because there's a clear gap between these contenders and San Diego FC. And mainly it's just in the fact that they need more time, right, to get to their peak, whatever that may look like. It may end up being 2023 St. Louis. But either way, like it's just one of those things where there's more to be seen with this team. I will say though, and also the fact that like when they've dismantled some of these other teams, like Seattle as an example, this is the worst Seattle team we've seen to start the season in like 3 or 4 years. They absolutely dunked on them. I was watching that game and I was like, dude, Seattle doesn't even look close to them right now. So it's just, again, it's one of those things where I'm with you, Hector. I think too early to hype them up as contenders, but they very much are kind of the next in line for some of that PR. So we'll see. Quakes. I'm like, oof.
I don't know.
I'm here or here.
I don't know.
I think it's probably I don't know.
Yeah, they've been better than LAFC, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just based off like expectations coming on to the season.
And I'll probably put them a little bit above Austin, though.
Really?
Because they actually can't score goals, though. Even though they got trash just recently, but at least they have the goal scoring ability.
That's not a bad shout, actually. I agree with that.
I think the thing with San Jose is they play with no fear.
Yeah.
Like they'll go for it. If it costs them, that's fine. Because literally it's them either blowing somebody out or they get completely obliterated. It's been, and I mean, there's a few in betweens, but aside from that, I mean, I kind of like it's funny. Like if New York has that same mentality with the Quakes, but have that defense that they have, I would be putting them up there with Supporters Shield contenders if they played with that kind of risk. But and that's just me being petty for specific reasons.
Yeah, fair enough. I agree. I think the interesting thing is like they've conceded a few more goals than Austin for sure. Austin fans will be like, "Well, our defense is better." Yeah, you're a little bit better, but at the same time, their offense is significantly outperforming yours. Like I think it's like a double-digit goal difference between these two. So like when you think about that, right? Like just I would rather
who needs defense when you can score some goals.
Yeah, exactly. That could be your best defense, right? The fact that you could just outscore opponents if you needed to. Austin can't do that. They literally have to rely upon being the first team to score because otherwise it's an uphill battle. So yeah, man, I think this is actually a good shout. Quakes above Austin. I like that shout from Musa. All right, Seattle. I'll
Could
give my
worse.
pick. We just played, but yeah, I agree with what Davi just said. I think like at the top of it could be worse.
There's no fight and there's no win.
There's no fight and there's no win, bro. I'll be honest. The Seattle Dallas game was like honestly one of the most boring games I've watched in MLS so far this season. It really was, bro. I was.
Were you on the couch?
I was fighting to stay awake. No bullshit.
How quick were you on your phone?
Bro, I tried not to get on my phone like during FC Dallas games. I want to actually be able to talk about Dallas afterward, but it's like, bro, this game is terribly boring. Like the one goal that went in was a trash goal where the Dallas back line just wasn't watching. Outside of that, no chances were created really by Dallas. The ones that Seattle had were not that. I mean, outside of that one crazy shot by, I think it was Roldan, and Boss had a world-class save. There just wasn't anything to write home about, man. Like I almost changed it back to MLS 360 just to get the other action. I was like, dude, this is wild.
Seattle's best win is a 5-2 win against LAFC.
Yeah, and then you know what's crazy about that? It's without the starters, bro. Both sides were rotated, so I was like, okay, cool. Now we're getting a fearless version of both.
The bench
teams,
is better than the starters.
Well, they just take more risks.
They
They push ahead faster. Like I don't know, bro, but both teams are so slow in their buildup. It was just a boring ass game to watch, but. Yeah, you guys didn't miss anything on that one. But yeah, nothing more to say right now. Seattle will probably turn it around. They always do this. They start a little bit slow and they work their way up throughout the season. But this is a pretty slow start. Like Seattle's not looking too hot right now, but I'm confident they'll probably end up finding a way to get back up. Sporting KC.
I plead the fifth.
I'm actually inclined to put them like right here, bro.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could have kept Vermeer.
I mean that or like the top of this one because
I think that's where it makes more sense to some people.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. For it could be worse because I mean
they could have kept Vermeer.
You have Jovic. Like that's just like the most fun part of this team right now. And now with the bad guy's gone, right? The bad man is gone, and you can be more. I don't think they're hiring a coach anytime soon, but they're playing. I think they're playing knowing. Well, I mean, some of them are playing for their jobs, but I mean, I think right now it seems a little bit more fluid right now in KC.
Yeah,
I don't think Vermees is gone. He's literally the phantom of the building. I think it's
the spirit of Vermees is like around.
The phantom of the
because he literally touched
little mask.
He's involved in everything. He touched he literally built the stadium, right? So
yeah.
But
he's underneath. He's like below the stadium in a little basement right now playing.
Bro, no shot.
I wouldn't be surprised if they
playing
still
the
call
organs.
him.
But the thing about KC, what I want to give them credit is like prior to Vermees's firing, they only had one game in like whatever the opening 6-7 games were where they scored more than a goal. Like they literally could not get more than a goal unless they played Minnesota. And since then, they've had back-to-back games scoring double that, right? 2 goals per game. So it's like maybe they're finding a way now to get out of this Vermees mode, if you will, and like start taking a little more risks moving forward as they transition into attack. So like I'm a little more encouraged by what I see in the first 2 games in the post Vermees era. But yeah, I mean, it's probably still too soon to judge. Like they're probably like right still in this territory, unfortunately, for SKC fans. St. Louis.
I will let you guys start on that one.
St. Louis, bro, very, very tricky. To me, I really don't know. And the reason being is because, bro, y'all started off so hot in terms of like at least performances. Defense is still fundamentally sound. I mean, I'm not factoring the Columbus Crew game too much because non-season men are just a good team. But there was a very clear gap, I think.
It's 4 straight losses right now.
Yeah, but I'm not factoring the last one too hard. It's just that, like the last month has not been great to St. Louis, and it comes off the back of a pretty decent month. So I think it's just so 50-50, bro. Like I could not tell you where this team sits. Like it's got to be something.
To be fair, though, no blowouts.
Yeah, they're a good defensive team. Like they just can't score. Like last year was all draws, and now it's like they're narrowly losing games where they do take some risk. It's just, I don't know, man. This team's such a toss-up. What do we think?
I don't know. I feel like it could be worse, but at the same time, it could be I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
They could turn it around.
I think I think with the defense, there's always like hope that they can turn things around. It just depends like who you think right now they're better than as of right now.
Wait, did Austin beat you guys? Yeah, it's probably like this. Yeah, this is probably
the one that sticks out is the one that Mo doesn't want to talk about. That's the one that sticks out.
I think that's fair. Like you guys could be like, based on recent form, you're hovering around dropping down into the next tier. But at the same time, like you have to factor in at least a little bit the start of the season, and because this is the first 2 months. And I think defensively there were enough performances for me.
And what's fair, and especially even St. Louis, we just don't know because first, if you look at our injuries, like 5 or 6 of our starters are injured. Leuven, we don't know his situation, so we don't even know if he's coming back or not or playing. So there's so many question marks on like everything that has to do with St. Louis that we don't even know which tactic our coach Olaf is going towards at this moment. So like everything is up in the air. Is Klaus last game was a off game where he actually scored, and then he's going to continue to score. We literally have question marks everywhere. And Berkey is also injured still.
Yeah, still injured.
So, and Kessler is like the best defender that he's having the season of his life. But then after that, we're like, then who's next?
Yeah.
So we're like, but losing 4 in a row is not a good look. And then Vancouver's coming to town on Saturday, which is going to be brutal if Vancouver comes with an ounce of what they did last weekend.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We'll see. That's going to be actually a good game, I think, watching that offense against that defense. Klaus, by the way, getting his first goal in what was like 10 months, something along those lines.
Yes, and so at May of last year or something.
Again, so maybe towards the end of May.
Yeah, and he could have got 2 if VAR did his job. But
I knew that was going to come up on this episode.
The whole world saw it except 3 people in the VAR booth. But
yeah, I don't know, man. To me, it was. I could see the logic in it being like 50-50, but I mean, it's tough. It's a tough call. And MLS is known for those, so it is what it is. But I still, even you put that call aside, I will still stand by the fact that I think that Columbus Crew were just a really good team. They are a really good team, and that day they were also playing very well. All right. Well, I think this is probably fair. St. Louis City fans, let us know, man. I do think that there's a lot of opportunity for St. Louis to move up dramatically before we do our month 3 rankings. But right now, this is kind of just where you guys sit based on current form.
we'll take it.
Yeah. Toronto. Let's just go ahead.
It's definitely worse.
They're not as bad as 2024 Toronto, but still not much better. They have flashes. They have like flashes in the pan where you're like, they have like some potential, but then something stupid happens.
They just can't make it a full 90.
Yeah, and you're just reminded of again how poor Toronto really is at the end of the day. I think that's fair because Galaxy, bro, are literally like bottom
in the mud,
bottom of the barrel. Yeah, and then finally, guys, we got to put these boys up here. It's just a matter of where.
The only Western Conference team.
I'll put them before Charlotte.
Yeah, I'd say second.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. That's actually a good shout. Good shout. And bro, I got called crazy on the timeline by saying Vancouver was the second best team in MLS. Granted, this was like 3 weeks ago, but like, got into a big fight with Will. Not big fight, but like a big back and forth with Will from MLS.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
And I was like, and all his little cronies kind of chimed in and like wanted to have at me.
They're outright first now. So
yeah. So look,
MLS moves. You mean Inter Miami moves?
Inter Miami moves. I love Will, bro. Will, if you see this video, bro, I just call it like I see it, bro. And look, I'll say this too: never wrong, just early. Yeah.
Oh, man, come on, that was a crapshoot. Come on, you could like the team is for sale. There's not many people that would expect
they put in like a proposal for like a soccer stadium in Vancouver as well. So
yeah. So I think it's probably the best timing that you could ever have for a club that's for sale. You perform that way, you literally have. I'm sure there's people that are coming out of nowhere now says we're interested in buying that team now because
But not even just that, bro. I'm sure they're interested in finding a way to keep the team in Vancouver. You know what I mean? Like I can totally see that argument too. It's like, oh shit, our team's actually pretty good. Let's try to find a way to keep them here and build on this. Like I can see both sides of that argument. So
those
I actually had
that's a lot of maple syrup.
Yeah, it's a lot of maple syrup.
And this time they'll actually see Messi in Vancouver.
Yep, that's another thing too.
So they're gonna have to pay full prices for those concessions now.
Let me ask you guys a question before we wrap up the show. Is Brian White the best American in Major League Soccer right now?
I think so. You have to.
Well, we have to be fair on that.
Yeah. But
the question is I think even Tack just put it on his latest videos for like U.S. national team.
Yeah.
But then he would not be playing as a striker, right? Because of who you have lined up.
I mean, who do we have lined up right now?
That's the thing. Like right now, to me, all the spots for the U.S. men's national team are wide open. Like, and so I think personally, I don't think there's anyone excelling anywhere. So, like, technically on the depth chart, right? No? Brian White's probably technically what, fourth or something. But like, I still feel like in certain situations, I don't know. Like, if he's in good form, I might bet on him instead of like a Sargent or. I won't go as far as like a Pepe. I think Pepe is a better striker.
He's just out.
Balogun is like another better striker technically, but it's just like Brian White's one of those guys. I think it's interesting, right? When you see what he's doing in MLS, and there's something I think about him when you think about an American, a tried and true, right? Like American.
He just puts ball in net. That's all he does.
Yeah,
and that's why simple, bro. Doing as a striker.
Now, I asked that question because I think the other side of the only player you could throw into that conversation, best American in MLS, is probably Diego Luna.
Yeah, I was gonna say Diego Luna.
That's fair.
That's the only other conversation I think to be had. But guys, listen to the comments down below, man. Like I think it's an interesting question. The best at American in MLS and how that impacts prospects for the national team. I think both those guys deserve.
I put White right now over Diego Luna because I mean. Look where the team is.
You don't think so?
No.
Musa, bro, this guy, could you guess how many goals he has scored in recent history in MLS?
But then the biggest question is when he faces international players, how would that translate?
And this is best American in MLS.
But if you think about it, Luna has shown us that when he's in midfield, he can actually.
But how do we get a chance to see?
No, I agree. I agree with Musa. Like U.S. men's national team base, give me Diego Luna starting at the 10 spot right away. At least that's how crazy.
Because I like those midfielders that have like that dog in them, like the I don't give a bleep attitude. But
so why doesn't Brian White have that? You guys don't feel like White has that?
but the beauty of it is like strikers. I think it's probably one of those positions that in your league, if you're like the top striker, and then once you get to international soccer and you start to face certain defenders, that's where you see that roadblock that becomes where you see the difference between like the best striker in the world versus the best striker in your league is when they face that international level. So far, I've not seen Brian White do it just yet. Maybe that's why I have that question mark, where Luna has kind of showed us what we typically like to see on midfielders doing.
Yeah. I think at the national team level, it matters more who's around you. Like as an example, right? Olivier Giroud in his career has only ever been the top striker in his league once, maybe twice, in his whole career. And at the national team level, he excels. So it's just like one of those situations where like I think it just matters like what kind of talent's around you. And I think if we were open to giving Luna a chance in the national team, we should be open to giving Brian White a chance, just especially 100%. Knowing that we have nothing but question marks in terms of his mentality, where we know a lot about the mentality of the national team right now. It is down horrendous. I don't even know what these players are thinking at the moment. Going into a World Cup next year, I feel like I would spice things up dramatically by bringing Brian White in. Just like
no, I'm not disagreeing with it. I mean, but I get where Musa was coming from.
Yeah.
But obviously, the question was best American in MLS, not best potential American in U.S. men's national team.
Yeah,
let's put Luna in another team. I want to see how he does it.
I was got both of them do, to be honest, bro. And for those who don't like rate Brian White because he's an MLS, like there's plenty of that chatter on the timeline too. I just think I think if it was a sexier name, you would be giving this guy all the PR in the world. But in a very quiet manner, he has averaged 15 or 16 goals per season in MLS.
16
last
back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely double digits in 3 out of the last 4 or 4 out of the last 5. So. Like he can score goals, he bags goals. He's coming off of a 4-piece against Austin, who was arguably the second best defense in all of MLS up to this point. So I don't know, man. I rate Brian White. I think he does a lot for Vancouver, and that's why Vancouver's so damn high on this list. And for anybody who thinks Charlotte's clear, you're not watching Vancouver, bro. Go watch the Caps. They're pretty damn good.
Hopefully he plays awful next weekend.
You're talking about the other striker that Podge is called
Ajiman.
Yeah,
Brian White's clear of that dude. I'm gonna say
no. I agree. I'm not once again not disagreeing, but
yeah.
So why hasn't it been picked then yet?
Offers a crazy dynamic with his height and his athleticism, but like I think Brian White's just playing out a better finisher.
So why hasn't he been picked to play or White?
He got called up for
called up to the Nations League.
Yeah, to the Nations League. And he did score, but like it's just again because we technically have 3 or 4 options already at striker if you think about it, right? Balogun,
Brian White scored or Argument scored? I think it's Argument that
Brian White scored. Brian White also scored. Yeah, he got a goal too. Fact check me on that, but he definitely got a goal in his last.
Scored 1 goal in Nations League.
It might have been the call up before then, so maybe not Nations League. But
Brian
last call up, he bagged a goal 100%.
I stopped calling it camp.
It was January camp.
Yes, January camp.
And by the way, both Ajiman and White were called up for that camp, and Brian White was the one who bagged the goal. So again, it's just like one of those things where I think we should consider it because of what he's doing. I think he might probably be the most informed striker at Poch's disposal for the U.S. men's national team. It's just the fact that he plays in MLS. That's the biggest hesitation from every fan.
Then he should be in the Gold Cup. Then if he's the most in form, put him on. I mean,
I think so. All I'm saying, bro, if the fans were somewhat okay at the time when Ferreira got literally slotted into a round of 16 elimination match in the World Cup, we shouldn't be so quick to judge Brian White getting called up for a similar spot. You know what I mean? Like that shit to me was like, I'm a Dallas fan. I'm like, that's an atrocious decision. I have no idea why you're starting Jesus Ferreira against a Dutch national.
Not only that, we're talking about we're comparing a Nations League to a World Cup knockout stage.
I agree, bro. It's insane. But anyway, neither here nor there. Guys, we've been here for a very long time. This is our list. These are our rankings. Let us know how you feel about them down in the comments below. Personally, bro, I'm a big fan of not just how we put this together, but symmetrically. It looks really damn good too. But again, if you feel like you disagree with any of these takes, Let us know, as you always do. If you enjoyed the content, man, do me a favor. Like the video down below. Subscribe to Goals TV. Again, weekly MLS content on this channel, along with plenty of other American soccer or football content on the Goals TV's channel as well. And so again, man, down in the description below, you're going to see links to every one of our co-hosts and their channels as well. So again, go tune in, go like, subscribe, follow, all of those great things. Those free layers of support do really go a long way. All right. So from everybody here at Wake Up MLS, my name is Jose. That's Musa. That's Hector. That's Davi. We'll catch you guys next time.